Hello and welcome to Lunch and Learn Wednesdays from Venture Portland. I am Jacob Falkenberg, your host, and today we're going to be talking about Portland in the streets and ways you can activate public space in and around your business and business district. So I want to really thank our presenters from the Portland Bureau of Transportation for being here. Izzy Armenta is a coordinator with Portland in the Streets program, and Nana Opoku is the outdoor dining food trucks business support specialist. So first, Izzy is going to start us off by telling us about Portland in the Streets. Welcome, Izzy.
Hey, Jacob. Hey, everyone. Thanks having me here. Super excited to share our work and connecting and seeing what opportunities we have to collaborate. So I'm going to share my screen and jump into the slideshow, but also I'm open for questions, or we're saving questions to the end. I'm flexible. If you have questions, and drop them in the chat. I'll try to answer them as we go. If not, we'll get to the end. So I'm going to share my screen in 1 second. Technology. Right. Can folks see that? Can I get like a thumbs up or a audible yes?
Yep, looks great.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah. So again, super excited to be here. Like Jacob said, I'm with the Portland in the Streets team within the Portland Bureau of Transportation, and like to describe our work as a lot of finding ways to say yes to activate our streets for community use. So I'm going to kind of jump into it. I'm going to share, this is our team, Public Realm team. It's a group of 10 of us. Oops, sorry, I'm moving my notes around. And we are here to support and serve the public as they utilize the street for different events and activations. And our aim is to provide a clear, low barrier entry process with a lens of safety and within all of our programs as well too. So just trying to get people engaged with reactivating our public spaces, but with low barrier and hopefully no cost or low cost. So that's our team. Again, small group of us. Outdoor dining, now it's team beside be one happy family, and now we're kind of split up within PBOT, but we still work together. But we don't work as closely, unfortunately. So, but yeah. So, oops, this is just a photo of the St. John's Plaza with an activation. Super nice photo. I don't know if anybody's been up there. That's just one of the many plazas located within the city of Portland. So the vision of the Public Realm Street Activation Team, Portland in the Streets, the names are kind of interchangeable, is our team helps facilitate placemaking and community use initiatives within the public right-of-way. And we think that plays a vital role in transforming our streets, sidewalks, and public spaces into vibrant areas. All those cool things that make Portland that make people want to move here and visit, and making sure they're accessible and enjoyable for all. So that's the vision of the Public Realm and Street Activation Team. And these are just some of the programs and projects we have. I'm not going to touch on all of them, because some of them are more residential household focused, like our residential block parties, our play streets, and some of our stewardships. But our plazas, community events, sidewalk decals, and a couple others, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. And again, if any point throughout you have questions, drop them in the chat, or just, I guess maybe take yourself off mute. Cool. First, I want to start by saying, we believe our places are as good as their partnerships. So a lot of our plazas, a lot of our events we do the permitting, but it's our partners and our businesses and stakeholders who make it great. So again, we're on this call to see how we can support you all and work closely in community partners through our plaza program, our event permitting program. It's really essential to our work. So welcome for your feedback and ideas throughout this. First one I think a lot of us are familiar with is our community events permit. And that allows businesses, community organizations, and nonprofits to temporarily close down streets for events like farmers markets, street fairs, cultural celebrations. So think of your Mississippi street fairs, Belmont street fairs, farmers markets, all those great things. Last year alone, we had 321 permits and served almost a million Portlanders. So it's pretty big. Again, it's those great things that make Portland that people want to come and see and do and visit. And one highlight I'm going to share is our First Thursday event that is held by Urban Art Network, and that is on Northwest 13th. And that's been going on for 24 years. So not an overnight success. It's taken years to get to where it is. And last year, they, I think, estimated about 75,000 attendees throughout the entire season. So yeah, this is one of the bigger events that we help permit, and it's, bringing everybody together. It's great for businesses, great for local vendors, and great for the community. And we're looking forward to permitting more. I'm sure we're going to get more events this year, and it always picks up as the weather gets better as well. Another permit program that we do that's fairly new that we're still fine-tuning the details is sidewalk decals, and this offers opportunities for wayfinding public art, highlighting neighborhood identity, and also you could tie this into a community event. So like these decals, oops, let me see my mouse works, of like Subi and Bao Buns and Blossoms were part of the Blossom and Bites event in Old Town that led folks from Cherry Blossoms to the event. And so again, these are just temporary, cool ways to activate spaces. And they're removable, they require a permit, but it's another way to like get people engaged and have folks, either navigate or just highlighting things in your neighborhood. And then another one that we do is cross street banners. Just happy to we were able to permit cross street banners or Ramona Villa in the Belmont Street fairs in the past. These are just great ways, again, if you have a community event or another opportunity to highlight what's going on as people drive through. Maybe they're not engaged, but they're able to just drive through and see a sign, and it's really hard to miss. So it's just another great tool to highlight events or upcoming opportunities as well too. So those are like our permitting programs, and some of those work really well together. And this other program I'm talking about is our plazas. And so this is actually the Montebilla Plaza. If anybody's been out there, it's one of our more active ones. Again, it's our partners and stakeholders that make it what it is. Plazas are great for small businesses. Might not think as PBOT as like business supporters. You think of us as like building roads and streets and sidewalks. We actually are able to support businesses beyond brick and mortar establishments. So there's a lot of activations in our plazas centered around vendor pop-ups, including crafts and farmers markets. And it's a great way to support smaller vendors to kind of vend and provide these opportunities. And since plazas are already closed, there's a lot less barrier of having to like apply for a community event. There's permits and there's fees. These plazas already exist. So it's kind of that, which size fits for you. So yeah, market support in our plazas. Also, plazas can be a great way to provide art. So last year, the Plaza Group or my colleagues provide a lot of financial and logistical support to bring public art to plazas. And that's a great draw. People want to go and check it out. Increases foot traffic to business districts. So the bottom right photo was, I think, was it last year, beginning of this year, a new light activation display in Southwest Ankeny by Voodoo Donuts. And so that was just one way we were able to support a plaza, which again brings people in, check out the art, check out businesses, and bring in more foot traffic. And then also, aside from like supporting vendors and markets and arts, it's also just events. You can use a plaza for events, similar to like a street fair or farmer's market, where maybe those are too big and you want something a little bit smaller. Plazas are a great way to host events. Last year, there was 257 events held throughout numerous plazas. And these events are free and open to the public. So again, it's getting just folks out there, there's no cost. And also plaza permits are free and easy to access from a business perspective as well too. I want to say there's no fees. I need to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure since it's already closed off, we're just able to, it's more of a coordination on our end. So if you're wanting to activate a plaza, you're a nearby business for an event. Oh yeah, I don't want to say free, maybe I have to double check. It's probably a low cost or free permit, and it's pretty easy as well too. So again, if a street fair community event is too much of a lift, maybe activating a plaza for one of your events would be really good. And excited to share an upcoming new plaza in the heart of the Hawthorne Business District. This one actually opens tomorrow. And so we request of business districts of wanting to create a plaza in their business district. And one of them that's coming about is tomorrow's opening of Hawthorne on 37th and Hawthorne. And so that one's a great one if you're interested in what that looks like, or if you're like, whoa, 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 pump the brakes. Plazas are cool. I don't know if we can commit to creating a plaza. What if we want to like dip our toes into it? Good news. Last year, the Plaza Group created a new initiative called the Seasonal Plaza Pilot Program, and that's served as like a testing ground of, is this plaza going to work? Is there buy-in? What does it look like? Is there stakeholder engagement before actually doing a full-fledged plaza? And also, I mean, let's be realistic, it rains in Portland a lot, so maybe a year-round plaza isn't ideal. I mean, maybe more of a seasonal plaza is the way to go. So this is kind of, plaza light before, trying to create a full-term, long-term plaza. So that's also another option. And this photo is actually at Southeast 7th and Sandy. And this is unique compared to the other plazas. There's an organization that DPAVE utilized the plaza during the summer for skate park and music, which is pretty cool. It's a little bit different since there isn't as many immediate businesses nearby. They utilized that space and activated it in a way that we didn't think of. So that's pretty cool. And then also, lastly, we love the things we do and we love all these events. So we actually do a lot of communication as well. So we communicate through our social media, our PBOT social media, our newsletters, and just wanting to highlight all the cool things that we're permitting and activating. So we also provide a lot of that support as well too. We want your event to be a success. So we do a lot of promotion on our end as well. And so that's kind of all I have. I don't know if there's questions. We're going to wait to the end. We can hand it off to Nana.
Did anybody have any specific questions at the moment that they wanted to ask? Otherwise, we'll wait till the end and turn it over to Nana.
Great. Well, hello, everybody. It's nice to be back here at Venture Portland. Worked with Jacob and Eleni a little over a year and a half ago with Venture Portland. So I'm happy to be back and continue to doing things to help support community. Like Izzy mentioned, I'm a part of the Business Support Services program, and I'm the Business Support Services Supervisor. We were originally kind of a part of the Portland in the Streets, and now Portland Streets is more community focused, and then my program is more business services focused. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. My name is Nana Opoku, and I oversee the Business Support Services program along with, we're a team of 7. We have engineering technicians that help support the permitting process for the program and additional steps that it takes to get a permit. And so we'll talk about the 3 programs that falls under the Business Support Services group. I do have Nico here with me. She's one of our lead technicians. And so she's extremely amazing and has been kind of a part of the whole outdoor dining structure since before it before it was even called outdoor dining. So she's a wealth of knowledge. But we have 3 programs under the Business Support Services program that we do permitting for. The first is outdoor dining. So I'll be talking about the outdoor dining program. And then we'll talk about our food truck vending, our food truck program, which is a pilot program. And then we also have our sidewalk vending program. So, and if you do have any questions, we'll go ahead and leave those for the end. But to start off, our outdoor dining program, many of you may have enjoyed some sunny days outside in the city, eating on a sidewalk or in one of these street seats that you see here in this picture. And so our program has 3 different types of permits that we provide. We have street seats, we have sidewalk cafes, and there's 2 different types of street seats that a business owner could get a permit for, which would be a street seat with a roof or a street seat without a roof. And then we also, again, have the sidewalk permits as well, which are furniture that can actually go in the frontage of your business on the sidewalk. A lot of folks don't know that with the outdoor dining permits, it also supports retail businesses as well. So we do have retail businesses that come in and are able to take advantage of this permit process to, if they want to put clothing racks on the sidewalk, or even some tabletops or some sort of seating or a display for their business, the Sidewalk Cafe permit does support retail businesses as well. And so specifically the street seats, those are for parking spaces that folks want to build an outdoor structure for seating purposes. So we do have design guidelines that a business would need to adhere to in order to get a permit for that. And again, there's two different types of street seats that you can get a permit for, which is one with a roof or without a roof. And there's different price points for that as well. And I believe Nico can kind of put the fee schedule in the chart and also the link to apply if you're interested in applying for an outdoor dining permit. I will say that the outdoor dining program is fairly new. It was approved by City Council in August of 2023 and launched January of 2024. So it's kind of gone past its first year, and we're you know, a lot of the outdoor dining structures that were out before the outdoor dining program was launched was a response to COVID. And so there were no kind of guidelines in place before to kind of adhere to ADA and safety and pedestrian awareness. And so all of those things have been vetted through. And so we have a program that is thriving. It's going really well. And as you know, summer is coming, so we have a lot of applications that are coming in and a lot of folks that have applied from 2024 and coming in for renewals into 2025. Right now, our seasonal permit is open from May through October. So if you want to take advantage of a seasonal permit and that's something you just want to do for a period of time, it's a little bit lower cost, and that permit is available from May through October. Our permits are also rolling calendar, and so basically if you choose to have an annual permit and you get permitted in November, it'll go from the November of that year to the end of the following year in November. So they're 12-month rolling calendar permits, and that's pretty much the overview of our outdoor dining program. Again, we'll take questions at the end, but we can move on to the next slide. This is our sidewalk vending cart program. So the sidewalk vending cart program is a really unique program. We're actually expanding it because we want to be able to have small business owners be able to activate the sidewalk space in more creative ways. And so I'll put my information in the chat below because I'd love to hear, you know, what other folks' ideas are in the community about how we can activate sidewalk space in the community, especially specific to small business owners. But the sidewalk vending program, a few important things to know is it is for a fixed location on the sidewalk. So if you have a vending cart that you want to sell food or any sort of retail items in, you do have to select a location and a fixed space, which means that at the moment our program is not permitted for roaming for your vending cart. It has to be in a fixed location, but you can have a permit for multiple locations. And that's a lot of, we get that question a lot. So I want to make sure that I let folks know that it's a fixed location, not for roaming, and it's commercial zone use only. And so cannot be in a residential. We don't permit in the residential spaces for the sidewalk vending program. Also, if you're interested in the sidewalk vending program, based on the location in which you choose to have that, there are some requirements that you have to qualify for or apply for and request, one being a property owner consent. So if you're going to have a vending cart on a sidewalk that's near a business or in front of a business, we do require a property owner consent for the business that is adjacent to the sidewalk in which you are going to be vending. Also, business insurance. There's a very low cost permit fee for the sidewalk vending cart program. And we also do inspection on the cart and making sure that it meets the sidewalk requirements so that there's still space for pedestrians to pass through. And then also, if depending on what you're selling in the in your cart, you may need additional permitting outside of the city of Portland, but through Multnomah County, like a food handler's permit, or if you're having a propane tank, you would have to get some sort of certification through the Fire Bureau. We have an application process for the sidewalk vending program, and it's in this slide, which I think we'll send to Jacob at the end, but we can also put the link in the chat as well. And next slide, our food truck program. So this food truck program, it is a pilot program. It launched in 2023, and it's kind of sunsetting here at the end of this year. But the good news is we're looking to expand it beyond the pilot program, or expand the pilot program to continue after 2025. What's really unique about this pilot program is it was created to kind of be a response to certain areas in the central city that we would call food desert areas, where there was just not a space for people that are working or in that central city area, and there was not a space for food. There was no areas for immediate options for food. And so that's how the food truck pilot program came to be. We do have a liaison through Suburban Events, and they are the ones that are helping to gather folks that have a food truck that are interested in maybe having options in where they can place their food truck. So I will say, if you have a food truck or are looking for spaces to vend, there's a link here to request for locations and or to work directly with Suburban Events, and then we do the permitting process for that. And that's specific to parking spaces where we vend, where the food trucks would be able to be parked. The other awesome thing about the food truck pilot program is, if you're a property owner and you have parking spaces in the frontage of your business or near your business, and you would like to get a food truck in that space for, maybe that's to kind of attract folks to your building, or to allow a food space for if it's an event, or even if it's just for employees that work in the area. That's also an option. And so there's a lot of options. We're looking to expand this program. Currently, it's specifically just to the central city. And so these are the locations that we have now. And as we have kind of expanded the program, and folks are now coming back to downtown, and folks are starting to not work from home as much, we're starting to see more of a demand for food trucks in certain areas, and the hours of use are starting to expand. So the program is rapidly growing. We have the Lloyd District location, Pac West, the Parker and 300 block, and we do have other locations that have been temporary, and sometimes they become permanent, but it also is a program that is continuing to expand. So super excited about our food truck pilot program. And if you have questions, again, we are happy to answer any of those questions you have. I think there's one more slide, Izzy. Special events. I don't think Allison Madsen is on the call today, but she did she was also used to be a part of the Portland in the Streets program, and she's now independently still doing the same program. She's a veteran with the city of Portland, but she does all the special events for the city of Portland. So that's your Juneteenth parade, your Rose Festival parades, those street closure parades. That is all Allison Madsen that does the special events, and she's an excellent coordinator. And that's her contact information if you all have any questions about that, or are thinking about wanting to do a special events program. She would be the go-to to talk about that. And so I've got her information there, and I think we can open it up for questions if anybody has any.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming and sharing that info. There's a lot of different options, it looks like. depending on what those spaces look like. So I'm curious to hear about what others on the call are planning or interested in doing to activate their districts or their businesses. So feel free to drop it in the chat or raise your hand or whatever. I also had a couple of questions while people are thinking about that for both Izzy and Nana. I guess we'll go back to Izzy first. Izzy, you touched on the Plaza program, and just a little curious to get a little bit more information about that. Is PBOT currently allowing business districts to set up new plazas, or are you just kind of focusing on activating the existing plazas? And what does the process look like to begin thinking about creating a plaza, and what would PBOT be responsible for versus the plaza steward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I know right now we are kind of focused on supporting the current plazas in place, but open to any new plazas, especially in business districts that are actively looking for that. There is some criteria. Not all places are ideal for a plaza. Is there enough local businesses? What is it, street use, like foot traffic? So that plaza group would actually go through some of this criteria and see if like the location you have in mind would work. And it's kind of, I could always connect folks that are interested in with our plaza colleagues that would talk more about that. Yeah, because again, it's kind of just depending on nearby land use and business and stakeholders. And I know in the relationship for plazas kind of varies. Some plazas, PBOT's more hands-on, doing the maintenance, doing some activation. But like say Montevilla, for example, there's a lot of buy-in from stakeholders and local businesses. So they actually do a lot of the maintenance and creating events, doing some plantings and or creating, intersection painting so you're more active in some public art. So it varies from plaza to plaza. And that's kind of through that process of developing that plaza and the agreement of like, well, what can local businesses or stakeholders take on versus what can PBOT take on, and trying to find a middle ground, because plazas don't seem like a lot of work. They kind of are. They can be labor intensive on our end, and we're a pretty small staff of 2 folks that do our plaza program. So it's finding that balance of supporting and doing what's possible. So
Good. Yeah, great to hear that the program is still moving forward, and there's still a lot of activations planned for the existing plazas. If someone wanted to do an event in an existing plaza, do they reach out to PBOT, or how would they go about finding the best person to contact?
yeah, so I'm gonna drop the link in the chat that you can actually reserve the plaza for like an event. So as soon as I find that, I will drop that in the chat. Give me one second.
Great, thank you. And while you're doing that, I did have a question for Nana about the street dining. So I know this program launched way back in 2020 during the pandemic, and it's changed a little bit since then, as kind of you all have kind of fine-tuned the program. So I guess my first question is, what's changed between the previous iteration of the street dining program and the current iteration of the program? And then what resources does PBOT have for a business that is interested in being a part of that program? Do you come out and do a site visit to kind of help them kind of create a vision for their space? Do you have recommendations for contractors that might be able to help with the build out of that space? What's that process look like?
Yeah, great question. So I'll tackle your first question. What's changed since the initial permitting for the outdoor dining structures? Before 2020, it was called something completely different. Nico, I actually don't know what it was called before 2020, but I know after 2020, it was called a Healthy Business Permit. So it was a healthy business program, and which was kind of something that they created as a response to COVID, right? A lot of businesses could not have customers inside their space because of COVID. And so there was an opportunity for businesses to have these outdoor dining structures. And so the permitting process was a lot different because of just that immediate response to kind of like a call of action, like how do we help small businesses continue to, you know, have customers come in and serve their business, serve their customers if they can't come inside. And that's how the outdoor dining, the Healthy Business Program is what that was called in 2020, and through 2023 until 2024, this new outdoor dining program came about. And so what's new with the outdoor dining program is the design guidelines, because before then, there weren't really guidelines that were specific to it's just, you know, the acknowledgement of like the pedestrian through zone and making sure there's enough space for a wheelchair to pass by, or making sure that there's a height requirement so that when cars are driving past the street seat, they can actually see overhead and it's not blocking like a stop sign or something like that. So really just a safety, it's more of a safety component with the new design guidelines and making sure that everyone's adhering to those. And so that's what the new permitting process looks like. And before it was a lot different. Their compliance and the regulations were a little not specific to like the ADA requirements, and it's just acknowledging like traffic signals and making sure that pedestrians and cars and vehicles were all safe. And so this program is a lot more specific and a lot more detailed to help support businesses in, you know, making sure that they have street seats that are safe and secure for their customers, but also safe and secure for folks in the community, which kind of goes into the next question you had about the permitting process. And because some street seats, sometimes businesses inherit a street seat if maybe they have purchased a business that was already existing and maybe that location may have already had a street seat. And so having to kind of apply for a permit for an existing street seat, if you're a new business, you have to apply for it. And then we end up doing like the inspection process once the application has been received. The requirements for that would be having a property owner consent form. So if a business owner is leasing a business space and they're wanting to have an outdoor dining permit, they would have to have consent from their landlord or the owner of the property in which they're doing the business at. Also, business insurance is another requirement. And then we do have application fees for the permit as well. Those are some of the tangible requirements, and then we go out and we inspect the structure. Some, like I said, some businesses inherit a structure, some start from scratch. And, you know, ideally, if they're starting from scratch, they would, you know, want to use the design guidelines. It's a 30-page pamphlet that we have that kind of talks about the height requirements, the width requirements, and, you know, how it can be, you know, how much space can be occupied within each street seat, because a street seat can be, you could use one parking space, two parking space. Sometimes they use multiple. And so there's a cost for each space that a business would want to use, whether they can or cannot have a roof. There's a lot of kind of regulations around that based on safety and things like that. So I'm not sure if that answers your question. There's a lot of details around the compliance, but we do have guidelines that are really handy that a business owner can really use as a guide if they're going to be building a structure from scratch. And we also have texts that are, you know, any questions they have, we are happy to kind of answer those along the way so they can build it right the first time.
Definitely, yeah. I know there was some trial and error when the program first launched during COVID. People weren't really sure, you know, what structures could look like. Some people had really grand ideas that didn't quite meet the safety requirements. So it's good that there are folks at PBOT that can work directly with them to help design something that meets the requirements, but also meets their needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see Allison's got a hand up.
Hi. Yeah, I actually had a question more about community event permitting, but I just sort of wanted to pop in there. I didn't know if this was a good time.
Perfect. Yes, go ahead.
So yeah, my name's Allison. I'm on the board of the Selwyn Moreland Business Alliance, and I own a business called Makerspace Selwood. And we are currently in the process right now of permitting for our first ever street fair on Southeast 13th, right in the heart of Selwood. I just had some questions sort of about, potential roadblocks that could come up with that. I'm sort of about halfway through. I just submitted my site plan. And I was just wondering if there's anything I can anticipate as far as what could be reasons why a permit would not get accepted, and what sort of support PBOT would provide once a permit does go through and the street fair is permitted.
Yeah, so some of the challenges folks will face trying to get their permit might be outside of PBOT. So if there's concerns from the fire department, fire bureau on access, or having, a 12-foot fire lane, that might be an issue. Trying to think what else. If there's some conflicting major event, like say the marathon or street fair, like not a street fair, doing a street fair, that might be an issue. Very rarely do we hit a lot of challenges. TriMet can always reroute some of their routes. They're pretty flexible. Fire department might make you apply for a separate permit depending if you're selling alcohol in the right of way. But usually we don't get too many challenges. It's more so, did you get your permit in within 30 days? Because we're very short staffed and we don't have time to always process them so quickly. So we always recommend minimum 30 days. And then as far as support, another challenge is traffic control devices. So you'll need to rent some, and depending on the time of the season, they can become very expensive or unavailable. So maybe trying to maybe get a hold on one while your permit is processing, just to make sure that it's available, but that is a cost to consider. And unfortunately, PBOT doesn't rent those out, so we're not able to support in that way. But yeah, as far as supporting on our end, we would definitely want to promote it through our social medias, through our newsletter. Again, we want to make sure your event is a success as well too. So.
Okay, great, thank you.
And speaking of events, if you are looking to add entertainment to an event, I think Mira had some information she wanted to share. You there, Mira?
Yes, actually, my first question though is, does a business need a sidewalk vendor permit to host occasional live music right outside their business? Is that something that you require, or is that just considered busking paid for by the business?
Are you speaking? Hi, Mira. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Are you speaking specifically about for an event or a business that's just has?
Yeah, summertime, I know I've worked with businesses that just want to have like a little bluegrass trio outside their business, and it draws people to them, just on a normal day with good street traffic. And I'm just wondering if there's any permitting that I should be making sure that they know about when they approach us for that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. That wouldn't be considered like a sidewalk vending, because they're not using an actual, they don't have a cart or some sort of, if they have some sort of vending cart that they're using in order for retail, for exchange of business.
Okay.
Then I would say that would require a permit.
Mhm.
But if it's just kind of musically entertaining,
It's just fun.
it's
Yeah,
just fun music, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I kind of want to go off of what Nana was saying. From what I understand, you're saying that it's like a band or people just want to create music on the sidewalk,
Mhm.
right? You wouldn't need there's no permit for that.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Great. Okay, good to know. And
Changes things if you're selling merchandise or if you're asking people to pay for things, that's a different story.
that's a good frame actually, because sometimes the band will have their little thing out with their CDs, their coasters still to sell. So that's a really good thing. I just want to make sure I'm informing people when they approach us. And oftentimes the way that they approach us, I don't know if a lot of people are aware of it. We want them to be. We've created a free resource that offers hundreds of amazing local musicians that are available for businesses to tap into, either to play in their store or on the sidewalk during the summer or for a larger event. it's some incredible talent, and you can filter it by genre, by vibe, by budget, by, number of players you want, everything. So it's at musicportland.org, says performer directory up in the menu, and just head on in and let's make this city musical this summer.
Hey, Mira, thanks for sharing that. In the Stadium District, we're looking to put together a concert series at the David Campbell Memorial right off Burnside.
Nice.
So I'll connect you with a couple of those organizers because they are looking for musicians right now.
Absolutely. I'll put my email in the chat stream.
Yep. In fact, she was going to be here today and she was messaging me that she was speaking at some PBOT thing. You guys have some other thing going on right now. At council or something like that. So I'll make sure you two are connected. Thanks for your email.
Great.
And that space, Eleni, is that owned by PBOT, that plaza?
Well, that's confusing. Yes, PBOT does own the plaza, but it is managed by the, it's a partnership. Is that right, sweetheart? Sorry. Custodial agreement with the David Campbell Memorial Association for that piece of land.
Okay, so would Stadium District need permits to activate that space since it's already owned by PBOT? It's kind of a gray area. Does anybody want to chime in on that one?
I guess
Usually for agreements like that, there would be language in that agreement. So if like you're going to maintain it and you can use it for, activating space. So it would vary. I mean, we do provide opportunities to have folks utilize or underutilize right away. Sometimes it's just basic adopt a landscape like mowing and trimming weeds. And sometimes it's a little bit more wanting to maybe enhance it or again, host events like in this space. So depending on the agreement, that we would have language in there. So
I think they're already in communication on that. Somebody else is handling that.
oh, cool.
Great. No, that's really exciting that space is going to get activated. I think that would be huge for drawing in foot traffic and getting folks into that area. So
yes,
really
and one day showcasing the beautiful lanterns that we restored with the Venture Portland group.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a real game changer. So hopefully that all works out. Does anybody else have questions for our presenters or just ideas that they want to share that they are planning for activating their spaces? Yeah, Stefan.
Hey everybody. Sorry, it's early pickup today for Portland Public Schools, so I am sitting on my car. So I'm with the 107 Independent Supporters Trust that runs the Timbers Army and the Rose City Riveters, and a part of the Stadium District Business Association. And we are partnering with the David Campbell Memorial event and are running a street closure from 17th to 20th at the end of August, and incorporating a lot of the stuff. We've done a lot of block parties in the past. This one's going to be bigger and unique, hopefully meaning that we'll be able to repeat it next year and host some World Cup viewing things and really kind of activate the area around the stadium. But we'll also, more general questions, since I have the people here. There is the plaza by the Mac stop there across from the stadium that really seems to be underutilized just on a general basis. And I think it's a really great potential for local businesses to be able to be more visible, since so many people come and go through there, not just on game days, but just in general. But what would the relationship be with TriMet, since that is a TriMet property and we've mainly been talking about PBOT properties? That's my question.
Yeah. When it comes to the plaza piece, I think Izzy might be able to respond to that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would need to look more into that if it's actually a PBOT property or a TriMet or it's leased with TriMet. I'm not sure how flexible they are in hosting events. But I would first need to see who owns the site, and if it is TriMet, trying to get some more information if that's something they'd be interested in entertaining. So if you could drop maybe your email in the chat, or I could get it somehow and I could try to follow up with you, Stefan. Oops, I think you're on mute. still.
I think I've communicated with you at some point in the past. But I'll drop my email in the chat.
Okay, I can check with my colleagues and see if they've been doing your permits. I'm sure they have your information, so
Mm-hmm.
make a note.
And it's not necessarily, like I say, not necessarily for this special event that we're doing, but more just generally. Just being across, we took over the Rack Attack building across from the stadium, and we've turned that into our community center. So like I'm there all the time and really seeing the potential of that space, and since it's so underutilized, and kind of, you know, if there's people there doing stuff and not just walking through, it's going to bring a more positive element to that space as well.
Definitely.
Awesome. That's really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. Looking forward to checking that out. It looks like Paul has a question.
Paul Patino with the Woodlark Hotel. Definitely, we were thinking about this summer. So we're right across the street from Ritz. We've got that beautiful little alleyway, which hardly gets utilized, and it looks like the city intended it to be something at someday, but maybe it's potentially closed. But for the meantime, we talked to Flock and talked to Ritz. We were all thinking about maybe hosting some live entertainment out there, maybe like a big event where people would funnel into Flock for food and beverage. I don't think we would necessarily participate with that because it would just logistically be a little bit of a nightmare. But, you know, hosting an event, collecting ticketed sales, was just curious on who we should probably reach out to. And not if I understood you correctly, maybe Allison would be that person for special events.
Special events, if it's specific to like street closure, like closing, you know, the street.
Correct.
But I think if it's a community event and there's going to be street closure, then it would go with Izzy's group.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's like a moving event, marathon, parade, that's more so Allison. But if it's like stationary, that would be us. I mean,
Oh,
community
perfect.
events do need to be open to the public. You could sell tickets, but you would have to keep the sidewalks open and it would have to like still be open. Like you couldn't host a wedding for a
Correct.
community event, but this could qualify for that. And I will drop the link to community events on the page in the chat if you want to learn more about that. And we're always happy to answer any questions as well too.
Perfect. Thanks, Izzy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. Another great idea that I hope to check out this summer. Yeah, we've got just a few minutes left, so if anybody has any other questions, feel free to chime in. I wanted to see if Linda from Old Town Community Association was here, because I know they have a big event coming up. I think it's on Saturday. Linda, are you here? Linda might have stepped away. So I can drop that information in the chat about their big event coming up this week and called Return of the Dragon. Return of the Dragon is a big one. So if you're looking for inspiration for how you might be able to activate your district, this might be a good thing to check out to see what other districts are doing. Oh, there you are, Linda. Linda, do you want to tell us briefly about Return of the Dragon? On the 24th. Great. I think I have the link here that I will put into the chat. There you go. And I will include that information in my follow-up email as well as contact information that we all discussed and some of the links that were in the chat for some of the specific things that we discussed. But it looks like there's no other questions. Then I want to thank our presenters, Izzy and Nana from PBOT, for sharing the information. Hopefully this gives you some ideas for activating your spaces. And yeah, start planning ahead. Summer's right around the corner. And as Izzy said, 30-day minimum for event permits if you're planning on doing something, just to give them time to process everything. So don't wait to the last minute, and we'll keep the conversation going as we move forward into event season. So thank you all for being here. We'll give you a few minutes back in your day, and I look forward to seeing all the great things you all come up with. So thank you and have a great day.